All right, everyone. Hello, Verde Nation. We are back in black and grey. It's Adrian, Healey, Michael Lahoud, Matchday -1 from St. David's Performance Center. It's brought to you by our friends at PointsBet. And good to see you, my good friend. Great to see you. It's been too long. Let's get the elephant in the room out the way first. I'm surprised they didn't change the locks on the door in this place and let us back in, because the team seems to have been transformed in our absence, Michael.
You're saying wins and goals galore since we've been gone. I still say we do have a bit of a good luck charm to imbue on this team, but so good to see the team moving up the standings and getting results along the way.
Yeah, both of us were watching keenly from afar, from foreign pastures, as the team took 7 points out of 9 in our absence. Let's get right into it. The state of play, two Copa Tejas wins that we haven't had a chance to dig into, and then the draw in Miami. Just taking those 3 games, which we had to watch from afar, your kind of impressions, your kind of headline items that you take away from those games, Michael?
Well, it's the same impressions that I had when I had a cocktail in my hand watching every single game while we were gone. I see them with clear eyes now, and I love what I'm seeing. I think of this as order restored, order from last year, with Giassi Zardes getting in the mix as well, but a lot of the same names from last year back on the field and back in business. We have to talk about Ethan Finley.
Yes.
Ethan Finley doing what he did throughout last year. His movement off the ball has impressed me quite a bit. So many players for Austin FC this season, I think, want the ball 2 feet. You have to have someone, not just Giassi Zardes, but someone else as a wide player, being a willing runner to get in behind and find those half spaces. He's doing just that.
Yeah, the whole getting back to basics, getting back to what worked so well in 2022. Diego Fagundes and Sebastian Drusi doing their thing again with Finley. It just, the two Copa Tejas wins were just, it just reminded me of so many of the games we got to call last year.
Watching the Fagundes finish.
Yeah.
That is something, and I wonder if that is going to be a moment in the season that just exemplifies the turnaround that's been happening, and I think more of a turnaround that could be coming down the line for the Verde and Black. The composure he showed, the awareness, Diego picking his head up in ways that we hadn't seen as much of in the season so far.
Yeah, and then after the 2 big home wins, the ability to go to Miami, Michael, and come home with a point in a game in which I'm sure they'd be the first to admit they didn't play their best, but to get a point out of that game was huge, wasn't it?
Those are things we saw last year, and last year they did one better by, that was a game where they would have gone and won, but you have to start somewhere to eke out a result. I look at the other side of the conference, and I look at the Eastern Conference, a team called the Philadelphia Union. They are the masters of going somewhere, not playing their best, and getting a result. To be competitive, to be a factor in Major League Soccer, and to get into the playoffs, you have to win away from home, or you have to get results away from home, and they're doing that.
It's the mark of good teams the world over. Can you get something out of games where you're not at your best? You see the very best teams in the world have that as an important part of their DNA. So.
Yeah, and it's going to be different players stepping up, and some players are just built to play on the road. And Nick Lima, getting that goal, we've seen so many times. We called it on where we were saying,
waiting for it.
We were saying it's coming. He's clipped the bar. He's tried to go with his left foot. First time I've seen him shoot with his right.
Yeah,
cashes in,
and just such a cool finish. And he had scored 7 goals in his 4 seasons with the Earthquakes before joining us. And as you said, there's been many times calling games. It is 2.5 years here. It's like it's gonna happen, and it was good time for it to finally happen. So the 1-1 draw, leaving Austin in 8th place. Your thoughts on where we are at this stage of the season? 20 games played now, well into the second half of the campaign. A busy stretch coming up. Is this about where we need to be? And what do you think of our placing overall?
I think it is exactly where we need to be, given how the season started, given some of the form. Players, your best players getting out of form, injuries that have come, things that did not happen last season. And to be competitive, to be near the top, you need your best players fit, healthy, and also mentally they're ready to go. The summer, that is where you pick up points. That is where you can leapfrog teams, get back in contention for the final finish. They're in the right place right now.
Yeah, okay. So let's point it forward. A little look ahead. We're starting with Minnesota United, Saturday night up there at Allianz Field. It's the start of another 3-game week. it's a tough week. Minnesota away, Vancouver away, and then Sporting Kansas City back at Q2. Lot of air miles. Maybe some rotation will be required. When you look at this 3-game stretch as a whole, what do you think the priorities need to be for the Verde and Black?
Very simple saying, and I had a coach that said this to me: if it ain't broke, do not fix it.
Right.
There is a fitness factor about this group for Austin FC that we're seeing them fitter. There's consistency that we're seeing across games, and a consistent group gets results. If you're going to make changes, maybe tweak one here or there, but now test the resolve and the resilience for Austin. Going on the road hasn't been as successful as it was last year. They're starting to figure it out. We saw the Seattle surprise win. We saw the Portland games. Can we get back to that? Being difficult to play with or play against, that was something that in the positive results against the RSLs, the Seattles, the Portlands, that was this recipe for DNA success for Austin. They cannot get behind early against this Minnesota team who has really found themselves again because they found one of their players who decided, you know what, I think I'll play. Emmanuel Reynoso. This guy's good. Watch the tapes from last year. He's a baller.
Yeah, our timing might not be the best. And sometimes timing is a big part of when you get to meet a team. Of course, they played Minnesota United right at the end of May at Q2 Stadium without Reynoso and beat them 2-1. Perhaps a little lucky to win that game, but that was a game that could have gone either way. It's an interesting series between these two teams because it's a real clash of styles, isn't it? Two teams that play a very different brand of football, and you look at the brief history, and it's 3 wins for Austin, 3 wins for Minnesota. Both teams have gone to the other team's place and won. So it's going to be close. It's going to be tight. History suggests that. Where can Austin perhaps get an advantage on the field of play? Where might the Loons' potential weaknesses be, do you think, Michael?
I think Minnesota right now, given some of the reinforcements that we'll touch on as well, and given Reynoso, when you have a player like Emmanuel Reynoso, defense is optional. Defense is actually not even mandatory. And Minnesota are throwing up a lot more numbers into attack.
Yeah.
And defensively, they sit in a 4-4-1-1. But on offense, they're throwing 5, sometimes both fullbacks.
Yeah.
Where teams have hurt them have been on the counterattack.
Yep.
So for Austin, get back to counterattack basics. When you go on the road, most likely in Major League Soccer, you will become a counterattack team. I think timing of counters and timing of when to hit that knockout blow, but you got to be good defensively first. A good Austin FC team is a team that blocks shots when they're on the road and then hits on the counter.
Yeah, they could be without several key players. We mentioned Reynoso coming back, but no Dane Sinclair for starters with Canada. So it's going to be Clint Irwin, the backup goalkeeper, very experienced, but Kamal Lawrence also gone. Their 2 fullbacks likely to be DJ Taylor and Zarek Valentin. To me, Michael, that's an area where we can make some sunshine.
1v1, I look at the DJ Taylor side. 1v1, last couple weeks, he's gotten away with a little bit. He likes to grapple with his hands when he gets beat. That is something, if you're Ethan Finley, who has been red hot, if you're him, use your pace, knock it by him. Don't try and do anything fancy. Knock it by him, make him foul you, and then comes the set piece factor. Minnesota United, very good in the air with their 2 center backs, but they get caught ball watching at different times. Low block when they defend, but they can get got. Maybe second line shots. Danny Pereira, shoot the ball.
Yes, indeed. So that's Saturday night at Allianz Stadium against the Loons. They have an interesting home record, Minnesota. Only 2 wins, only 1 defeat at home, 5 draws. So draws have been the name of the game there. Let's see what Austin can come home with that first trip. And they will come home in between the 2 road games, fly back here right after the Minnesota game, and then prepare to go to Vancouver on Wednesday. Before we leave, looking ahead, welcome a new player. We a signing, Brandon Craig, the centre back, signed on loan. And it's a use of a mechanism that isn't often taken advantage of in MLS. A loan signing, you very rarely see it. There's the Seattle to Colorado loan, that midfielder this season. That's one of the only ones that is current. But so to get Brandon Craig, I think is a big feather in the cap for the club.
And it's a big need.
Yeah.
Right now, you look at some of the injuries still to the back line, especially at that center back position. We'll see what happens with Alex Ring. Hopefully he'll be ready to go. But center back, there is a need. This is an acquisition of need, not just want. And it's a good young player. If you're going to go and get players on loan, getting a good young player with the experience of Julio Cascante, his mobility, his ability to read the game, that is what's going to be needed. But he also brings international pedigree. In the summer months, when you have players that have gone to something called the U20 World Cup, we've seen Owen Wolf coming back in the fold, you put them into the lineup. Diego Luna, for RSL, he looks like a world beater now because he's playing with confidence. Cade Cowell with the U.S. men's national team. This is a young player who will be ready to help.
Did you see the highlight reel from him at the Under-20 World Cup? He can ping a ball. He can pass out of the back. It was. I mean, we have some passing ability out of the back, and watch out for those long 40-yard balls over the top to the wide players.
And now you just don't have it because Julio can hit those diagonals and play through the lines. Now it gives the opponent in Minnesota and the opponents to come. And when you have a player like Reynoso who is not going to give you the best defensive effort, Minnesota are a team that sits in a mid-block. They don't really go and high press you all the time. But when they decide to go, now you have a player who can hit the ball route one and you're bypassing the line and then on goal.
Yeah. So on the subject of player arrivals, leaves us very nicely to welcoming a big new signing to the front office, Rodolfo Borrell. Welcome, Rodo. He was announced just about a week ago, having just completed the historic treble as an assistant with Manchester United. He's going to come in and be the new sporting director of Austin FC. Michael, again, you and I saw this news from foreign fields, and honestly, it came right out of the blue. I almost dropped my latte, my Spanish latte in the morning. It was like, wow. But that is, I mean, it was a jaw-dropping. I was like, what? They just went and got who? From where? I mean, what was your first reaction?
Well, after Lionel Messi, who he's familiar with, I think this is the signing in Major League Soccer of the summer window. I could not believe it either. And that's a massive feather in the ownership's cap. Well, you had said it on our last show that we did on Verde Lights of what's the need. It's not just player, but it's getting that sporting director. Yes, you can go and get players, but you need someone leading the ship. It just can't be Josh Wolf. Now I think that all the powers that be, everything just flows from there, what direction the club is going to go to. And the fact that he has a lot of history in his reputation, not just being with Pep Guardiola in Manchester City, but working with young players, that is one of the tenets that Austin FC wants to continue to build. We have a heck of an academy with players coming through. Our second team, I can't wait to see his imprint on that.
Yeah. Is he bringing Erling Haaland with him? Is that
hopefully his clone?
I tell you, the esteem he's held in at Man City was obvious, seeing their kind of exits, sort of farewells, Pep Guardiola himself posting a message. I mean, clearly he was a major part of what they've achieved in that club's DNA, and now he's going to bring that here.
Well, he has a vision. And he has a vision that is bathed in his origin story, being from Barcelona, Spain. And when you hear those words, you automatically think tiki taka. And Austin FC, how they play, I think that could be quite the healthy marriage between he and Josh Wolf. But he's going to have to get to work early in his time. Once he gets that visa, once he comes in, and make no mistake about it, he'll be watching. He'll be already on the phone. I can't wait for us to sit down and talk with him just to pick his brain.
I'm sure we will get him on this show and on Verde Lights too. I've heard some people say, well, he's never been a sporting director before in this exact role. But to me, this is the perfect place to do it. And to have someone like Sean Rubio as his right-hand man who knows how to navigate the pitfalls of the MLS salary cap situations is kind of, that's an ideal situation, isn't it?
We'll also have one of his countrymen here on staff, someone who's so integral to Austin FC's success behind the scenes, and that helps in getting settled in. Someone who knows your culture, someone who knows where you come from and can point out certain things. Where to get a good margarita, we'll definitely ask him about that after a couple days. But I'm really excited about this because if you're a Sebastian Driussi, you want someone who's going to command your respect as a sporting director, and he will definitely command Driussi's
the gravitas he brings, his contact list. I mean, soccer's a small world, isn't it, Michael? So often it's who you know more than you might think in this business, and he knows pretty much everyone, doesn't he?
Oh, he knows how to win, and that's the most important thing. And as the club and the team gets back on track on the field, having that sense of security and being in safe hands is going to be huge.
So all of what we've just talked about so far in the show probably leads us towards this pivotal moment. I am almost beside myself waiting to see what the Lahoud mood might bring to the table. The post-vacation, fully refreshed, seen the team get 7 points out of 9, make a big signing. How is that mood to be described right now?
Mr. H, I'll get right to it. The mood is ready.
Yes.
The mood is ready, folks. And for Austin FC to be ready to kick butt and take names up in Minnesota. It's not Minnesota nice. They will have to bring the spice. Number one, it's getting balls in behind. The last 2 goals, out of the 3 goals that the Minnesota United have given up, it's been direct balls over the top. It's been having a center forward who stays between the 2 center backs. Giassi Zardes, if that is you, stay between Boxall and play off Michael Boxall's shoulder because Boxall does not have the pace to turn around and both center backs don't have the speed to turn around and run towards goal. The second, from a defensive standpoint, you got to clamp down on Emmanuel Reynoso. Yeah. He is the one who makes everything tick since he's come back. What is it? 6 goals coming out of left field, scoring 3 of them so far. He will be red hot, and he will be buoyed by some of the new additions that could be playing in this game. Pukki is who comes to mind.
Teemu Pukki, just announced by Minnesota United. Ismail Chajori-Shredi also. Not sure if either of those players are going to be involved. But, they've made some big additions. Longwane is a player who just continues to catch the eye as well. He did here at Q2, didn't he?
The 2 wide players have really come to life with Reynoso coming in. And rather than being disjointed as they were without a true playmaker, you see them as soon as he gets the ball, they're now looking to make darting runs off into space. And Longwane, the goal he scored against Portland, that is Route 1. That is Bafana soccer.
Yes.
Getting it down, going straight to goal, and then finishing.
So the mood is ready, and if you're ready for some action at home, then Austin FC 2 back in action at St. David's Performance Centre, Palmer Field at St. David's Performance Centre to give it its official title, and another Friday night home game coming up, and it's the return of the Houston Dynamo 2 to play Austin FC 2 tonight. They are 3rd place, Michael, in the Western Conference, 6th overall in the MLS Next Pro standings. 9-4-4 is their record through 17 games, and another big one to look forward to tonight.
It's going to be really interesting because Houston, I think that's where it all started with this Austin FC 2 side, having them at home. And yes, just as with the first team being good at home, it's proved very significant, very relevant for this Austin FC 2 side. They had a bit of a wobble in the summer, but now they've kind of found their feet again. And I think the presence and the play, and we're going to give him his flowers, Damian Lass.
Oh, yeah.
When you're a goalkeeper, you will oftentimes be the hero when your team isn't getting the results here and there, but having his professional pedigree, this is a player that came through at Fulham, Premier League side, and now bringing that experience to Austin FC 2 is going to be big.
Yeah, so if you can't wait for next Saturday for the first team to be back at home, join in for some live action. Tonight, Palmer Field at St. David's Performance Centre, the place to be. Always been great crowds. It's been fantastic to see the response for the Austin FC 2 side. You mentioned Damian Lass, so let's finish with a moment of gratitude and give a nod to not one but 2 All-Stars. We'll start with Lass because you just mentioned him. He's going to be one of 4 MLS Next keepers. He's going to take part in the newly resurgent goalie wars at the MLS All-Star game as part of the skills challenge. Yeah, I mean it used to be fantastic to watch that back in the 90s. Let's not date ourselves, but it's such great entertainment, isn't it?
I have to ask you.
Yeah.
Favorite 2 keepers you watched in goalie wars?
Oh my God. Tony Meola probably was one of them. I mean that ponytail just in action everywhere, and who else? I don't know. Did Pat Onstad ever play in it? I always liked Pat Onstad. Maybe it was a little bit before his time.
I'll give you one. Zach Thornton, former teammate of mine. But I remember the goalie wars. This is my favorite event. And to have Damian Lass, who, getting to know him, especially last year, such a good, down-to-earth person, but loves the game, loves to poke fun, loves to just have a laugh. And when he steps on the field, all business. Can't wait. And my money's on him.
Yes.
My PointsBet bucks are on him.
So well-earned, Damien. And then, of course, our gallivanting Irishman, Mr. Gallagher, who, that news when that broke, I can't say it was unexpected because you and I think, have been trumpeting his cause and know full well that he deserves to be an MLS All-Star this season. I just, knowing how it works and knowing how often it's a popularity contest and big names get in at the expense of those around. Somehow I thought perhaps it's not going to happen, but what a delight that it is happening, and how great is it and well earned for Mr. John Gallagher to be an MLS All-Star.
I'm so happy for him. Congratulations to you, John. I know that you tune in to whether it's Matchday -1 or Verde Lights, and guest of the show, friend of the show as well, and John Gallagher. When Austin FC were still trying to find their way throughout the season, it was John Gallagher and his play on both sides of the ball, especially the offensive end, that was getting things done. It's good to see people noticing and people rewarding him, the powers that be rewarding him with a rightful place in the All-Star team. Second Austin FC player to be an MLS All-Star, and it's our favorite Irishman.
After Sebastian Drusi, of course, who went to Minnesota last year and played against the Liga MX All-Stars. I know it's going to be special for Mr. Gallagher to play for Wayne Rooney, who's going to be the MLS All-Star coach. Mr. Gallagher, if you didn't know it, is a massive Man United fan. There may be another one in the room, by the way, but as one and as a former player, to know that you're going to play for the legend that is Rooney must make it even more special.
It's just the cherry on top, and I hope, Wayne, if you're also start him. He has to start. Reward the United faithful. Start him.
Yes. So Gallagher leading all MLS defenders in goals. And how about this? Leading the team both in goal contributions and tackles won. How often do you get the same player leading a team in both those very different statistical categories? Not often, I'll wager.
It shows that he is the modern fullback. He's played in a back four, he's played in a back five, and to win your 1v1 duels as a fullback is important. Not just getting forward, but it's something that I think we saw much more of last year. Austin FC, when they started going on that run, it was through the play of John Gallagher amongst lots of other attacking pieces, but on the defensive end, Gallagher being difficult to play against. I go back to one of the games against LAFC when he was matched up against Gareth Bale. And Gareth Bale wanted no pieces of him because Gallagher was getting up, but also getting back to win those tackles.
Yeah. All right, that'll just about do it for today. We've gone way over our allotted time limit. I know Spenny, our producer, always keeps it right at 20 minutes. I think we've blown it. I think we'll be out the door again. They're going to change the locks once more on us.
Well, hey, if the winds come, then we'll take it. No, we were always going to do that.
Yes.
It's been too long.
No, it has been. So, you know where to watch the game. Apple TV, Austin at Minnesota United, Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Start Time. Michael and I will be back next week for another Matchday Minus one before the Sporting Kansas City home game. We'll have 2 away games to reflect upon. And also, don't forget Verde Lights, your match day kind of pre-game show that we love to do down at KXA. And I think it's on the CW twice on Saturday, 11:30 and 5:30. Am I right?
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Good to see you. Good to be back in the saddle.
Good to see you on stage.
Yes, indeed. Onwards and upwards. We'll talk to you next time.